Welcome to episode 1014. It's Monday, March 2nd, and you're listening to the Geek at Geek News Central. This show is sponsored in part by GoDaddy.com and listeners like you. Pick up a domain name for just $1.49 or get $1 a month economy hosting with a free domain name at GoDaddy. All my GoDaddy specials can be found at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. Start supporting this show today by becoming a GNC Insider at geeknewscentral.com/insider. Geek News Central is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. Hey, folks, got a great show lined up for you tonight. The Podcast Awards voting has just started, and for the first time ever, I actually got to vote. But, hey, folks, got a great show. Here it comes. Strap in.
All right, people, I need a go, no-go for the Geek News Central podcast. Digital archive recorders.
We're go fly.
Microphone.
We're go fly.
Video feed.
Go.
Web browser.
Go.
RSS data stream aggregator.
Go fly.
Interflux Toddism suppressor.
All right, I'm confused.
Host readiness check.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
The Geek News Central podcast is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to go. Cue Todd in
5,
Button, who's got the button?
4,
There is no cause for alarm.
3,
Everybody hold on to something.
2.
Aloha and welcome to Geek News Central. Of course, again, my name is Todd Cochran. I'm your host. I'm absolutely just thrilled to be here with you tonight. Of course, I want to give a very, very warm welcome to all of the Ohana, all the longtime listeners and viewers of this show. If you're brand new to the show, Ohana means family. So welcome to our family here, and got a lot of tech to talk about tonight. Got a few things to get kind of administratively dealt with here over the next few minutes first, and then we'll just chit-chat a little bit before we get into the tech, as is the tradition here at Geek News Central. But got a great show lined up for you tonight, and yes, sadly, Spock is dead. And, of course, all of you had to be living underneath a rock when the news came out last week. But, of course, we haven't been together since then. So, very, very sad. And, you know, I'll be honest with you. I can't do the Vulcan split. I have to cheat and you know, and use some tape or something. And I've never understood how people can, you know, here I am, you know, I just can't do it right. But live long and prosper. But it's sad, yeah, really. And we'll talk just a little bit about that tonight too. But hey, everyone, if you're brand new to the show, the very first thing you have to do, and this is something you should do right now if you're checking the show out for the first time, is come over to geeknewscentral.com, click on the iTunes or the RSS feed link, and get subscribed to the show with your favorite podcatcher, either if on Android or the podcast iOS app on iTunes. Get subscribed so you never miss a single episode. Another thing you can do is scroll down just a little bit, and you'll see on the right-hand side of the page the newsletter link. It's under the important links section. And there's a couple of important things there that I want you to definitely check out. Talks about becoming an insider. You can send a voice message to the show. If you're thinking about doing a podcast, we got gear recommendations, a whole bunch of stuff. But that newsletter link gets you basically completely tied in with the show. Subscribing to the podcast and getting the newsletter guarantees you'll never miss, ever, a single episode of this show. And that's what we want you to become wholeheartedly part of the family here. But as just like any other podcast, your feedback is most critical to this show's success. And your input and chit-chat is well appreciated. And I might even be starting up, have you guys heard about Slack? So I might be playing around with Slack a little bit, and maybe a way to increase the engagement. And if any of you have been playing with Slack, if you think it'd be cool to do a Geek News Central Slack team, let me know. I know I've set one up for my bloggers and for the podcasters as part of the network. We're all kind of in that together. Been playing with it the last couple of days. It's pretty cool. But if you want to give feedback to this show, you can do it via Twitter at Geek News. Of course, you can email me here directly, geeknews@gmail.com, geeknews@gmail.com. That's the best way, really, to reach out to the show, quickest and fastest. Of course, you can follow me on Google+, on Facebook. Really engage wherever you can, but if you can send me those emails, that helps to get into the show production a lot easier. than the other locations. I do try to cut and paste stuff and that people have sent me from within Facebook or different locations. But always easier if you just, and if we start the Slack group, might be a way just to do the submissions in there too. Gotta figure out if you can automatically join or not. I don't know, but we'll get that figured out and invite all of you there. Let's hear what else we got to hear. Of course, the Tech Podcast channel. We're part of the Tech Podcast Network over at techpodcast.com. You can watch us on the Roku, Google TV, Chromecast. You can kick back and watch us on your Samsung Smart TV. Just find the Tech Podcast channel, load it up. I'll be under the Tech News section, and really just, get some popcorn and get in your lazy boy and fire it up. There's a great way to catch the show that way. And if you're watching via Roku, I'd love to hear from you. There's a percentage of you, 5 or 6% of you that listen or watch that way. So I'd love to hear from you and your experience and what, how well it's worked for you over the years. But anyway, enough with that. Of course, this show is sponsored, of course, by our good friends over at GoDaddy.com. And as I told you, we're into March, and the deal has changed. Now, just a little bit of a secret here, and I don't know how long they're going to last, but there's still some 50% off codes that are working. Okay? Don't know how long these are. Now, let me check them right now and see if they're still up. Oh, are they gone? No, they are up. Okay, so don't know how long these are going to stay alive. All right, I'm just telling you straight up. So when you come over to the geekandcenter.com/GoDaddy page, what you're going to find now on that page is the active codes. The 32% code is gone. I mean, it's gone. So what we've got now is we've got the dollar economy hosting. We've got the dollar word, that's per month for 12 months. It comes with a free domain. And, of course, look for the restrictions on that account. We've got the $49.com still by using the promo code Geek149. We've got the GNC Got promotion where you get a domain name, website builder, Microsoft Outlook email address, again for $1 a month for 12 months. But these two loan 50% off new hosting plans with a free domain and 50% off a 12-month business website builder with a free domain is still active. 50 host 7, 50 WSB 7. I don't think they're supposed to be active. Okay. I think they were supposed to have been killed. So as of right now, they're alive. How long they remain is just going to be a mystery. We will see. But, GoDaddy's been bringing great deals to us for a long time. I'm expecting some new stuff too. So I'm waiting for the email to come in with some new offers. And but be aware of that. The GoDaddy codes, I haven't got the results from February yet. I hope to get that in the next couple of days. We'll let you know how we did in February. But we're into March, and this would be a great time to really, like I said, you had your chance to get that big discount code. It's gone. So what we'll have to do now is we'll really focus in on these special offers that they've got. And they're still great. They're fantastic offers. The $1 a month deals cannot beat that. Now, definitely look at the normal price, know what it's going to be after you get done in 12 months, what the renewal fee is going to be. So there's no, surprise. Okay. And, I've got a number of economy hosting accounts that are at the low end and at the top end, from a basically standard hosting account standpoint. So they all serve their own purpose, and they give you different features. Look those over. But, of course, domain names, you can't go wrong with that $49.com and newer transfer. And I think the renewals on there are $8.95, $9, something like that after a year. I buy so many domains. I use, they have a discount domain club. You pay every year for that, but it saves me enough money that it basically, I think all my renewals on my .coms are like $8.49 or $8.29 or something like that. But I just renewed a whole bunch of stuff and paid in about $400 to renew domains. But that's what happens when you have 270 domains. And then when I renew them for 2 years. And so that way I'm only really renewing half my domains every year. Okay, anyway, that wraps it up on GoDaddy. Again, we thank GoDaddy for being a longtime sponsor here. Again, get over to geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy to get those deals, and we'll let you know here if anything new is coming out for March. Oh, someone says I got an echo running in the background. Where could the echo be coming from? I'm not hearing it in the mic. This is odd. Let me think where the echo could be coming from. It's not, I don't think it's on the master recording, but it might be on the live. I think maybe I know what it is. Did it stop? Did the echo stop? I'll let you, Jason, let me know if the echo stopped. I may have figured out what was going on the live. So we'll see what happens here in just a second. See if he comes back and says the lag. I know what it was. I bet it stopped. Okay. What else? This past Saturday, did an interview with Francesco, the CEO of Spreaker. It was a great interview on New Media Show. So I had a good time with that. And then we've done a number of interviews recently. And I think we've got a new person hired at Raw Voice. I'm excited about that. Hope to see a letter come in from basic acceptance letter. It's gotten, I think, until tomorrow or Wednesday to turn that in. I think we got a tentative yes. So I'm looking forward to that. But one thing that we're noticing about this going on in the podcasting space is we're seeing really a lot of big money moving into the space. Big companies are trying to make their mark. It's going to be an interesting year. Very, very interesting year for sure. I had reporters today calling me left and right based on a announcement that came from another company wanting to get my reaction to it. And but anyway, so far so good. I don't know what's going on with the live stream. I apologize, Jason, on what's going on. I'm not seeing any lag points here that could be causing it. So thanks for keeping me in a heads up here, but I really don't know what's happening there. My apologies. Yeah, we're streaming live tonight, and someone, basically one of our Ohana's in the chat room saying we got lag tonight on YouTube, which is not good. Let me look at the browser here and see what YouTube is saying. Oh yeah, what are they saying? We got bad keyframe. Well, we'll see if it straightens itself out. What else? Why would that be happening? Someone might be doing something in the house. Might be on a internet connection here, so it's just a little bit weird. Okay, so you're gonna have to live with that for now. There's nothing I can do about it. So off track here a little bit. Yeah, he said echo's gone. I figured out what I did wrong. Okay, so anyway, Podcast Awards voting is open. So go to podcastawards.com. And again, listener support of this show is greatly appreciated by going over to geeknewscentral.com/insider. We do appreciate it. Again, anytime you guys are stepping up and supporting the show, we'll talk about our donors at the end of the show, along with email that from that group as well. Okay, let me get into. I'm kind of like Jason threw me for a loop here on what was going on with the stream. Let's talk just a little bit about the iconic Star Trek actor Leonard Nimoy. It's pretty big news there that he passed away, and I think it sent shockwaves throughout the entire, the Trekkie fan base. And I can't say that I'm a Trekkie. I really can't, because there's some folks that know almost line by line some of the the scripts and everything from the different episodes. But one thing that Canadians are doing right now is that they're marking up their Canadian $5 bill and basically drawn it up to make it look like Leonard Nimoy. And I had to kind of laugh when I saw this, and I'm sure these $5 bills will be floating around for a long time. I'm sure that some folks will probably not be appreciative of that, but I thought it was pretty comical that they were doing that. So anyway, that you leave it to Trekkie fans to do that. But yep, sad. Okay, let's talk just a little bit. We're going to switch gears and move into what's going on. And I found this interesting article, of all places, on cranesdetroit.com. And it's Detroit and Southeast Michigan's premier business news and information website. And they're talking about a company called Rocket Fibers launching a new service. And they're going to be bringing 1 gigabit Ethernet internet service to a section of Detroit. So imagine, those of you that are familiar with Detroit and with US 12, that basically terminates just before the I-75 375 junction, and there's basically a maybe a 20 block square area there. They're going to be basically from John C. Lodge Freeway to Chrysler Freeway, which is the 375, up to Fisher Freeway, which is 75. They're going to be bringing 1 gigabit Ethernet to that area. And I believe that includes a ball diamond. I don't know if that's where the Tigers are at these days, but they're investing a huge amount of money. They're going to be doing an information center too. They're just trying to revitalize at least this part of Detroit and bringing some high-speed internet to it. And I just have to, applaud these guys for, taking the $30 million of their company's dollars and doing this investment. But pretty exciting stuff for Detroit. This is, Detroit, man, it's been the butt of everybody's jokes for years. And, the city has had severe economic troubles. And it's nice to see a startup come in and see what they can do there. So I wish them the best of luck. Also, there's big rumors here about Google Plus, and I think we already talked a little bit about a couple of the services being split apart from Google Plus, and Google Plus kind of becoming its own platform, minus some of the other services. Photos and streams are going to be basically no longer tied to it. So Google Hangout will probably become its own product as well. So it is going to be curious to see what happens with Google Plus. The folks at Wired are talking about this quite a little bit, and the handwriting's on the wall. It's just a matter of when it's going to happen. So we'll keep an eye on that. I'm still a big fan of Google Plus. I go there for all of my major news and discussion with folks, and it's pretty sad to see that that essentially going away. And we're still getting a bad stream tonight. I don't know why the video stream is bad as it is. I may try. Can I do that? Let me try one thing. I think I can. I don't know. YouTube's weird. If you turn the stream off, sometimes it just quits. But Jason, I'm going to try to cycle it here and see what happens. And hopefully it didn't just completely go away. And maybe, I hope it didn't die. But there's a 20-year in the news on space news. There is a 20-year-old military weather satellite that apparently blew up. Don't know exactly what happened here, but it just went kapow. They said that the military said that they basically saw a rapid heat up, a sudden temperature spike, and then there was a catastrophic event producing 43 pieces of space debris, according to an Air Force Space Command, which disclosed the loss February 27th in response to questions from Space News. The satellite was the Defense Meteorological Satellite Program Flight Number 13. And it was the oldest continuous operational satellite in the DMSP weather constellation. It had been up since sometime in the early 90s. So all of a sudden this thing blew up. I would imagine that these satellites have batteries in them. So I would almost bet that there was some type of a thermal runaway situation. And when you get a thermal runaway with a battery of any sort, it doesn't end well. Airplane noses have been blown apart, holes in aircraft. So just thinking about a satellite, as fragile as they are, taking basically an exploding battery, obviously it did not end well. Many of you have probably been shopping, and I'm obviously switching gears here a lot tonight, so if I'm not getting the transitions in, just follow along. That's the way we roll here sometimes. At Costco, those of you that shop there probably have been using American Express with them for years or paying cash. Well, a big change. Costco, which previously only accepted American Express cards, has ended their agreement with Amex and will start exclusively accepting Visa on April 1st, 2016. Now, this is huge news because I shop a lot at Costco. My Amex bill every month is $200, $300, sometimes $400. It's basically the place we go here in Hawaii. That's the only place we really can find, it's big bulk stuff, but where we can find great deals. Besides being able to shop at the, I have base privileges and be able to shop at the Navy Exchange. So I'm just thinking to myself, that's 200, 300, maybe 400 more miles on my Visa card every month. So this is good. Now, I don't know if they're going to make us use the Costco City Visa, or if we are going to be able to use our regular Visa card. So time will tell on what's going to happen there. But essentially, Amex is done. But we may have to use the card by Citibank that they're partnering with. That may be something that we're forced to do. I don't know. Well, time will tell for Costco users. All right, PayPal's new Here card reader can handle NFC payments. So PayPal is really trying to tide the flow of what's going on with Square. I'm a Square user. I love Square, and I tell you why I really love Square. Essentially on Square, I can swipe a card, process something, and within 24 hours, it's in my checking account. Whereas PayPal, if I'm going to use their Here card reader, and it's basically designed to take NFC payments, if I do that, then it goes into my PayPal account. And if I want to transfer stuff, it just takes, it's a longer process. And from an accounting standpoint, it's a bigger pain in the butt. I really am a big Square fan when it comes to doing external credit card processing. Now, when it comes to PayPal, I'm still a big fan. That's how I do all my invoicing and paying the bloggers here at Geek News Central. It's all done via PayPal for online transactions and that kind of stuff. I'm still a big fan. But when it comes to processing credit cards and stuff, I'm still a little bit preferential to Square just because of the speed at which it happens. So there's no word on pricing just yet. But the new version of Here will hit, is this only UK? UK and Australia this summer with a US debut slated for later this year. So you guys overseas are going to get it faster. So interesting news there. All right. Anyway, link will be up in the show notes for you tonight to check out. Now, one thing here at my household, and I know many of you probably think it's simply insane, but my alarm clock goes off at 4:30 in the morning, and I'm usually very rarely in bed before 11. I try to be in bed by 11, and maybe if I get absolutely lucky, it's like a 10:45 or 10:30. Very rarely any earlier than that. But many of you, including my kids, have a hard time with that old alarm clock. Folks at Lifehacker have got some tips on how to wake yourself up early. And I know this is not techie related, but if you're trying to get up earlier, try setting your alarm clock 2 minutes early, and every 2 or 3 days, roll it back a couple more minutes. And it basically gets your body into the mode of waking up early and not hitting that snooze bar 10 times. That snooze bar is, that thing's guilty for a lot of people being late for work. All All right, let's talk about the Galaxy S6. Boy, oh boy, big rollout and mixed response on this new phone. And I read through all the different reviews, and of course, some reviews were reviewing comparing it to the HTC One M9 versus Samsung Galaxy S6, and talk about which one you want. From the initial readings that I got, the HTC One M9 camera sucks. That's kind of the consensus I've been hearing, whereas the Samsung camera is working really good. They've got the one that's the Samsung S6 Edge. It's got edges on both sides. People are pretty, slick with that. But they're saying that performance-wise, the Galaxy S6 uses Samsung's own Exynos 7420, where the M9 uses the Snapdragon 810. So the really what's going on here is, I think from a performance standpoint, looking at everything I've read so far, I think because that Samsung has employed lightning fast UFC 2.0 flash storage, this really could change the load times of applications, along with the RAM that they've got in there and everything else. They say the stuttering and lag that plagued the S5 interface appears to be completely gone. Of course, people said that the HTC already had a lightning quick interface, but they're saying it's still pretty smooth with the M9 as well. But, the camera, again, S6 is a winner. Samsung made changes to the audio where they moved the speaker from the back of the phone to the bottom. People are still saying that's still not good enough. It needs to be on the front. And they say that flagship phones shouldn't ship with mono speakers. So that was kind of a hit on S6. Interface, interface is interface. They are both built on Android Lollipop, but of course, the interface elements, from what I could see online, look pretty much the same. The display, though, from everything I could see with the 5-inch phones, the Quad HD display is pretty nice on the S6, and they're using that Super AMOLED technology, and again, the 5.1-inch Quad HD display is pretty gorgeous from the videos I've saw, but they think just between those two different phones that the S6 has a little bit of an advantage. There are some naysayers out there about this new Samsung S6, though. Some folks are saying, is it an iPhone clone? And reading through the reviews, it really doesn't necessarily look like an iPhone clone, because it does a lot of stuff that the iPhone wouldn't even think about. But here is, one thing I think they had a little bit of a miss on. And I've read this twice. They're saying that there's that the either one writer says that the Galaxy were going to go next. Oh, okay. They're not going to be getting a Galaxy with a removable battery or a micro. Okay, what? Apparently, some folks. Why are they complaining about this? So let me read this, because I heard it twice on different articles. It's here. However, at least where it comes to more technical Android users, designing expandability might be a step too far. The real question that remains here is whether or not the loss of sales from the technical audience, the demand storage expansion, and replaceable batteries will have a meaningful impact on Samsung's bottom line. Clearly, the company believes it's not. Now that the S6 has a minimum of 32 gigs of internal space, removable storage is likely seen as a feature that adds complexity without a great deal of benefit. And while it's true that a change to glass and metal doesn't preclude a replaceable battery, it's possible that designing the phone to accommodate a battery hatch and compartment might have interfered with Samsung's industrial design goal. So, no SD card. I think that's a kill. I think that's really dumb. My wife, micro SD slot, she's got 128 gig. You know how many pictures she takes? That's a done deal, won't buy for my wife. And not having interchangeable battery, it's no different than the iPhone now. So folks that are on, say carry an extra battery, they're going to have to carry, an extra battery pack or buy a Mophie to put on it. So that's kind of a little bit of a negative here if external storage is important to you with Samsung. But anyway, that's kind of what's going on with that. Now, of course, Apple today countered for Samsung's Galaxy S6 launch with a timely iPhone 6 gallery update. So they are they're doing that to kind of get some news out there. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, Apple's not going to they're going to definitely go head to head with Samsung for as long as they can. I think the iPhone 6 is just an incredible device. I really, really do. And more interesting, Ford today unveiled what's called the Modi. It's an electric bike prototype. And wait till you guys see this thing. They actually showed off two. They had two internal company design contests. And basically, it almost looks kind of like a little scooter, but it's really not. But the design is pretty slick, and it basically ties, and I think this is the other one. This is the other, there's the other design. So what they've done here is, let's go back this way. They made this so it basically talks to your iPhone. And when your heart's beating faster, it helps out with electricity more. And when your heart slows down, it takes a little bit of electricity off and makes you pedal more. So it actually monitors your heart rate to give you a good workout. It's got GPS built in so that when you're riding it and you need to turn it, basically you put a GPS coordinate in your phone. It talks to the bike and tells you when to turn left by vibrating the handles or turn right. So pretty slick stuff here. It's just experiment right now, and probably if they do launch, it's going to come to Europe first. But they've also released what's called an open source hardware and software sensor kit that can be installed on regular and electronic bikes. The kit gathers user data such as miles ridden, location of bike lanes, and amount of light or luminosity given off in a particular area. Some of these, the Ford prototype actually has a rear sensor monitor that monitors when a car's coming up too fast. It will warn the rider and flash lights to warn the approaching driver as well. So that's some pretty cool stuff that they build into this. But cool stuff from Ford, basically bringing on a smart bike. And The Verge talks a little bit about the heart rate monitor and everything that they've done here. So I'll have the link up in the show notes for you guys. I just wish I lived in an area where I could bike more. I just, I lived like 2,500 feet above sea level, and I never end up somewhere where it's really convenient to ride a bike. I got a great mountain bike, but just don't get on it enough. All right, this is changing up here completely, but let's talk just a little bit about AT&T. Folks at Tech Dirt talked last week that they had been looking at Google Fiber pricing in some of the markets that they're in. And basically, they've been offering up a 1 gig internet connection for $70. But what they've been doing with that connection and what they have been asking customers to do is allow themselves to be snooped on. Yes, for $70 in the fine print, basically, you have to agree to AT&T's Internet Preferences Snoop-vertising program. That program uses deep packet inspection to track your online behavior down to the second. And if you want to opt out, that $70 1 gig broadband connection quickly becomes significantly more expensive. So apparently another $30. And it's very, very hard to opt out of their Snoop-vertising program. So GigaOM said that Stacy Higginbotham at GigaOM says it's not as simple. It just as paying AT&T $30 not to be snooped on. AT&T actually makes it very difficult to even find the please don't spy on me option. and saddles the process with a number of loopholes to prevent you from choosing it. In fact, you're not even able to compare prices unless you plug in an address that's in the AT&T footprint but currently doesn't have AT&T service. So in other words, if you have to find someone that doesn't have it to actually look up the price. Meanwhile, even if you're successful signing up with a $30 privacy fee, it's actually much more depending on your chosen options. If you just want broadband, opting out of AT&T snooperdizing will run you about $44 and more. So, there's something wrong with this. And, we're worried about net neutrality. They're doing deep packet inspection of what you're doing online. Doesn't that just make you go, just a little bit? I would think so. Naughty on AT&T. All right, there was a great article today, a couple of them on the web. Obviously, Google's PR team was busy talking about the Project Loon. It's Google's internet in the sky, and they say it's almost open for business. And they've been testing balloons and basically balloon in a balloon, and they've actually can control these things on what altitude they're flying at in order to catch airstreams to be driven where they want to be driven. They're getting about 180 days out of one of the balloons, and it carries an electronics package that now is basically using LTE to interconnect with a ground node to be able to give people LTE connection at some distance away from that ground node to be able to get online. But of course, the balloons are always moving. So, the hardware is pretty big. It's in a pretty big rack, and they try to recover it if the balloon doesn't pop and crash. But, 180 days, and they've been testing primarily southern hemisphere, although they did have one balloon crossover from the southern hemisphere into the northern hemisphere. But they've been really working on perfecting this, but they say they may be close to point being able to deploy it. The question is, how many of these do they have to put in the air to have continuous coverage? I would think quite a few. And they apparently cost tens of thousands of dollars to launch. So, you have to get quite a bit of business out of them in order to pay for that. But it's a pretty big experiment. Now, you would think that they would just set up blimps, and blimps can be tethered. If you've ever been down to Key West, many of you have seen if you've looked south of Key West in Florida, and you can see the blimps that are tethered, that are, as I would assume, some sort of radar, counter drug type thing that's basically watching the southern, down there in the Gulf, looking for stuff that's coming up that shouldn't be. But anyway, they could tether blimps, but that's not their plan right now. They're using these high altitude balloons, and of course they are, like I said, a balloon in a balloon. So pretty interesting stuff here, and I have a link up in the show notes for you to read through. I spent quite a little bit of time going through it. Here's something to think about. We've all of us that are using Windows are probably pretty excited about Windows 10. I'm actually, and Jack, if you're listening, I'm actually starting to like Windows 8.1. But at the Mobile World Congress, Microsoft Greg Sullivan gave a 1.5 billion reasons why Windows 10 will change everything. And it's basically because they're giving it away. And they feel that the majority of their user base will probably upgrade. And they're trying to close the gap here and do a quick catch-up. And that's what it's really all about. And if you think about what they're attempting here, their attempt is to make sure that they have a unified user experience across desktop, laptop, tablets, Windows Phone, and that every app has cross functionality. So I can understand their process a bit, and it's a good play by Microsoft to try to catch up. The question is it too late? has too much damage already been done. Only time will tell. Hey, one thing I want to point you guys to is I wrote up an article over on Geek News Central, and again, the team at Geek News Central, my writing team, and all the other all the other podcasts are doing great. And I wrote up the article yesterday about my Dell XPS 13 experience, and I'm pretty impressed with this laptop. And I want you guys to spend some time and go through this article. And if you get a chance and get to a Microsoft store, or even get someplace where they have one of these out, take some time and play with this laptop. The keyboard, which I had the biggest concern about, has not affected me. I think I actually type as fast on that keyboard as I do a standard full-size keyboard. The screen, obviously, is just incredible. The power, the battery life in this thing is mad crazy. You know, I used to leave the house and I always threw in my computer bag the big brick, right, for my laptop. Well, now with this Dell XPS, the brick is not even a brick. It's where have I got it laying here? Hang on, let me show you. So those of you that are watching the video, this is the Dell XPS 13 power supply. You know, it's not much bigger than a cell phone charger. It really isn't that big. It's, if I look at it, maybe 3.5 by 2 by 1/2 inch wide. That's the charger for it. And I don't even, you notice I reached over here on the desk and grabbed it. I don't even take it with me. I take the laptop, it lasts all day, does everything I need to do, and I come home, I still have plenty of charge left, and I put it on the charger. It's the first time ever I've been able to leave the house, go all day, and not have to have my laptop on a charger. It's pretty nuts. It really is. They get some great, I think 9-10 hours is what I get of usage out of this thing. Of course, I'm not doing a lot of heavy lifting, doing web stuff, doing some Excel, so not really taxing the processor super hard. But and if I start running out of juice, they sell this. Well, they provided me with this little external battery pack that just looks like a standard, something you would charge your cell phone with if you're running out of juice, and you plug that in, and that gives me like 4 more hours. So I'm really, I will say one thing, they have really done a great job. And read through the article. I definitely appreciate it if you take the time to do so. And I put it up yesterday. As well, there's lots of other stuff up on the website right now, booking.com, article talking about a blizzard, talking about the World of War tokens. What else have we got in here? We got Facebook adding suicide prevention. We talked about in the show. We talked about watch news. And, of course, don't forget about all our other podcasts. Of course, we've got the Health Tech Weekly with Jamie Davis. We've got the New Media Show with myself and Rob. We got the Gadget Professor with Mr. Don Bain. We've got the Elder Divide with Todd Ani. We've got Robot Underpants with Langley and his team. So there's a lineup there of great podcasts that you all should be subscribed to. Make sure you get hooked up with all of them. We're doing a great, things are really moving, and I want you guys to be part of it and with those other shows as well. All right, let's come back to the news here. Breaking House Judiciary Committee tells the FCC it's going to block net neutrality. Well, the House is going to pass FCC blocking bill, and the Senate's going to do the same thing. They're going to send it to the president. The president's going to veto it, and then they're going to try to do an override, and I don't think they're going to get it done until an election change. And yet, the 2 Republicans that are on the FCC committee have yet to pen their dissent. So the document, the 300-page document that all of us are kind of waiting to see if it lives up to what everyone says it's going to have in it, or if that was all a bunch of crap. We're going to have some time yet before we're able to see that. It's all politics at this point, and I've got some emails from some folks that basically think I'm wrong in my reasoning here on basically this. And again, what I said in the last show was this was the nuclear option by the FCC. It was brought upon based upon them not having any other choice based upon Verizon's actions in getting the net neutrality stuff overturned at the Supreme Court and basically the language the Supreme Court put forth. So they really had no other option. And anyway, we've argued this enough. I'll read the comments at the end of the show. Some of them you guys aren't necessarily happy with me. But again, as I've said, I admit it's not the best solution, but it's what other choice did they have? The hits keep on coming for Uber. In a major goof, listen to this. Uber stored sensitive database key on a public GitHub page. Uber is trying to force GitHub to disclose the IP addresses of every person that accessed a web page connected to a database intrusion that exposed sensitive personnel for 50,000 drivers. The court action revealed that a security unlocking the database was stored on a public accessible place, the online equivalent of stashing a house key under a doormat. What a bunch of idiots. Now, Uber officials have yet to say precisely what information was contained in the two now unavailable GitHub gifts, but in a lawsuit filed Friday against the unknown John Doe's intruders, Uber lawyers said the URLs contained a security key that allowed unauthorized access to the names and drivers and license numbers of about 50,000 Uber drivers. The ride-sharing service disclosed the breach on Friday, more than 2 months after it was disclosed. 2 months. 2 months. They didn't tell anybody. 2 days is acceptable. 2 months, absolutely horrible. Unbelievable. I mean, wow. 2 months since the discovery. Begin to wonder who's in charge over there. In a cool video, some gentleman put together an interceptor, Star Wars interceptor, basically designed it in a drone. I have the video up in the show notes for you to check out. How come that page is not loading? Come on. Sometimes this does it. Oh, wait. Okay. You guys and ladies, this is incredible. How do I describe this? The Spitzer telescope has imaged our entire galactic plane in the infrared, and it's 180,000 pixel spectacular. Now, it only gives 3%. It's a 3% look of our galaxy. I'm going to show you the compilation of this imagery. And if you're listening, this is the link you have to go to today. So those of you that are watching, I'm just going to scroll through this. And they're saying about 80% of the stars and galaxies that are in this 3% of this plane are able to be seen. Now, for those of you listening, I'm scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, and it just goes on and on and on. And if you want to get an idea how absolutely insignificant we are here on this planet, in the middle of the galaxy, you are going to be astonished. This image that has been stitched together, if nothing else, will sit you back in your seat and you'll have a little bit of a reality check. And I'm still scrolling, and actually, let me start scrolling faster, because I don't know if I can talk long enough on this topic to get through it all. I mean, it goes on and on and on. It's breathtaking what they have done here with this and stitched this all together. And just think, it's 3% of our galactic plane is what's being shown in this single 1,800 pixel. I'm really speeding up now. I'm really going fast to show you guys this. Those of you that are on the live stream. And Jason, if you're in the chat room and watching this, tell me what let me know what you think. I can't emphasize enough. You guys, I'm going to tell you, I've never seen a space picture as remarkable as this. I'm not kidding. It is simply incredible. And I'm still scrolling. I'm scrolling my mouse just about as fast as I can to show you guys this. And it goes on and on and on. And now I'm really doing it fast. Okay, so now I'm going to start just doing the page down feature. Let me just hit page down. Click, 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 click. And it just... Okay, I'm at the end. Wow. All right. I've told you enough. This is the article that I'll have starred in the show notes tonight. And you are going to want to go with this and look at this. And if you're not astounded, I'm sorry. You're not human. Really, I'm serious here. Okay? All right. Let's switch gears and come up to a different topic. Did you know that you're shedding DNA even now as you're sitting where you maybe are walking around listening to this or at the gym? Did you know that human bodies are continually shedding? It's kind of weird, right? Skin's coming off, hair, we're replacing skin at an amazing rate. But the police now can use our shedding DNA as evidence. The Supreme Court just allowed a conviction based on illegally obtained evidence to stand. So what this guy was is he went to and this guy's no nice guy. He's a rapist. And he had been interviewed in a police station, sitting in an interrogation chair. And when basically he was led out of the interrogation room, the police swabbed the interrogation chair that this guy was sitting in, and basically was able to get a 2000 conviction for rape based on his DNA that they were collected without his knowledge or consent. We've seen the movies, of course, of people basically taking a drink of water or something, and then the police coming and getting that glass to get the DNA off of having put your mouth on the glass. But the Supreme Court has basically said that they can do this, just like they pick up fingerprints. DNA that you leave behind can and will be used against you in a court of law. So you don't have to essentially submit to a DNA test now based on this Supreme Court ruling. It basically, police can now take DNA this way. And you essentially would have to be in like a containment bag in order not to shed DNA when you're out and about. So crime stuff, people are not going to be easily getting away with stuff anymore. All right, Hubble has snapped images of a mysterious galaxy baffling scientists. Basically, it's a new galaxy, very young stars, and it's full of dust. And they say that usually dust comes after a star has exploded, but yet this galaxy has a high amount of dust. And this is the second major cosmic discovery in recent weeks. Just a week ago, an unusual massive black hole was uncovered. Both these discoveries are making scientists scratch their head just a little bit, so it tells you how little we really know. Did you hear that SETI now wants to start transmitting? Instead of just listening, they want to start focusing antennas at planets and saying, hey, we're out here. Is that a good idea? What do you guys think? And we're not going to be around by the time we're going to be probably back in the by the time that signal gets out and gets, and someone reacts to it and sends something back, all of us are, we will probably return to a complete natural state in the ground, and probably what we've been buried in will have as well. It'll be, many thousands of years. So the question is, does it really matter if we start, we've been transmitting, stuff for 60, 70 years already. And, Jason just says in the chat room, incredible. So should we be reaching out to ET? or is that stupid? Should we not be just announcing that we're here for lunch? In other words, we would be lunch. I don't know. I'm mixed. For us, it's not going to matter really. But do we risk the future generations of humans to, already? Let's be honest. If someone's that advanced to be able to get here, they'll be able to hear everything that's coming off the planet right now, and probably everything I'm talking about thousands of years from now. So who knows? All right, Google confirms it will offer carrier services, may operate a Google brand across pre-existing networks. They have confirmed this, that they intend to do this. And it's probably going to be likely in partnership with, again, existing carriers. And this has been a rumor before, but now Google has confirmed it. So we'll see where this goes. Now, companies like Verizon, AT&T have little reason to work with Google, but T-Mobile and Sprint have reasons to partner up. And maybe it could end up being that, Google buys one of those carriers. Who knows? Time will tell. It's a day for photos. I don't know why, but NASA put up some vintage photos, some very famous photos, some space-first photos. And let's see if we can get this segment to load here. Does it want to? This page doesn't want to. There it goes, finally. It was caching. Of course, there was the first self-portrait, someone taking a selfie. That was Aldrin, of course, that did that. There was images for spacewalk. First time that we saw Earth from the moon. A variety of different, images. What else have we got here? What is this one? This one is, I guess, a picture of being in orbit. John Glenn snapped his photo during his 1962 Mercury Atlas 6 mission when he was basically, I think he did, 3 orbits before he came back down. But anyway, all these are some very early pictures by NASA, and I have the link up in the show notes for you on those. And wow, surprise, surprise, shockwave flash just crashed. Well, why am I not surprised? So that means that every one of these pages are going to want to reload. That just irritates me when that happens. It really does. And what it is, I'm running so many so many different tabs open, it just runs out of memory and it crashes. Also, those of you that are Apple users, I use a lot of Apple Pro apps. I'm not using some of these apps anymore. I don't use Final Cut anymore because I use Premiere. But there's a good article on yahoo.com talking about Apple Premium apps, and I have that link up in the show notes. For those of you that are maybe new to Mac and have been using the iPad primarily, talks about some of their Premiere stuff for doing video editing and audio editing and that kind of stuff. There was an interview in Germany by Tim Cook talking with a newspaper there, and he had some comments about Edward Snowden, talking about the Apple Car and more. So it's a pretty good information here in this interview. Even though he didn't really say too much about Snowden, he says he definitely drove a conversation in space and made companies look at what they were doing from a privacy standpoint. Also, Yahoo is a company that is kind of just out there doing its thing. Yahoo's 20th anniversary has come, and Marissa Mayer, its CEO, has done did a presentation on the progress, of transforming Yahoo, which, if we think of them as they definitely are an internet icon, being around from the beginning. And, they were here long before Google. They competed with AOL. And, but there's lots of discussions about what they're doing. And it is kind of an interesting read. I didn't get all the way through it. It's pretty extensive on some of the things that they're talking about. But if you're curious to see where Yahoo's going and what they've done, this is a good piece, and it's on medium.com, and it really goes in depth. And if you're a Yahoo fan, you definitely want to go through this and read it. There'll be some nostalgia there, as long with some good information about where they're headed and what they've done already to kind of to turn things around. Of course, Bill Gates today, he again has basically been ranked the world's richest man. Gates is worth $79.2 billion, placing atop Forbes list of the world's richest, just above Mexican telecommunication magnate Carlos Slim Helú. And the list of the world's richest includes a few names, as executives from Snapchat and Uber were named as some of the wealthiest in the world as well. So his net worth actually increased $3.2 billion last year, despite a gift of $1.5 billion in Microsoft stock to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So, and of course, Zuckerberg, everyone, all these folks' net worth is going up. I'm sure investments and interest and everything else is fueling that. These guys don't have to worry about where their next lunch is coming from. That's for sure. Okay, let's see here. You guys been watching the Amazon Gold Box deal of the days? I didn't know this was available, but you definitely want to check out something called Kinja Deals, and it's at deals.kinja.com, and it basically brings all the best deals of the day, usually available at Amazon. And but in every day they've got a new deal of the day with the good stuff. Today was basically computer peripheral upgrade stuff. So if you're looking for a place to just find deals, this is probably a good place to do it. Also, the folks at Panasonic, and I'm going to try to get a review unit of this, and I've got to reach out to the press people, but Panasonic is basically taking on Dropcam. They've introduced something called I don't know if it's Nubo or Rubo, but the Nubo is a 4G-equipped security camera that can keep a watchful eye on situations where there's no power or on a Wi-Fi signal. The camera's motion sensor detects movement, recording clips in 10, 30, or 60-second lengths, analyzes the footage to differentiate between humans and your pets. You can get access to it via your mobile device, and it's available for $249. There's a data starter kit included. So while you'll be able to pre-order one next month, the cameras aren't expected to ship until Q4 in the UK and Netherlands, with an arrival in the States early next year. So again, they're not competing very heavily right now because you can't even buy the stupid thing. So 2016, right now, Dropcam is a pretty good option, obviously. There's a lot of problems going on with Apple Pay and identity check fraud. There's basically some issues on the street with that, so be aware. Keep an eye on your bank accounts, especially if you have some cards that have been compromised. This topic is maybe not 100% appropriate from the show, but Tinder, you guys know what Tinder is? Well, this swipe-based dating app just launched a paid premium version in Europe. Paying for Tinder Plus allows you to undo swipes. And if you're 28 years or older, you have to pay an additional £4 a month for access to it. Oh, excuse me. If you're under 28, £4 a month. Those over 28 will pay £15 a month. So basically, they're saying if you're over 28, you can afford to pay more. And so tough. Kind of an interesting model, making the older people pay more. Maybe they're trying to get the older 28-year-olds off the service. Maybe they're trying to keep it from, to a younger group. Who knows? Hey, SpaceX yesterday launched 2 all-electric Eon drive Comstats to basically a geosynchronous orbit. It was basically the Clark orbit. It's really not geosynchronous. It's like 900 miles out. I watched it. It was a great launch, but they had 2 satellites stacked on top of one another. The reason they were able to do that is the satellites don't carry as much propulsion fuel, and using the Eon engines, specifically the Xeon ion drive, which electrically stimulates eons of the noble gas to generate small amounts of thrust, and each engine just needs a tenth of the fuel load of traditional satellite propulsion systems to last over 20 years. Takes a little while to get on orbit, but once there, but it's pretty cool to look at the image and how they had these things stacked up. That's worthy a look of this article, just to see the 2 sats stacked on top of one another. It's amazing they're able to get that done without doing any damage to the satellite, but they got them in orbit just fine, undercutting most other launch systems 30-40% in cost. For those of you in Australia, March 24th is a day that you will not have enough bandwidth to basically handle Netflix. March 24th is a day that Netflix launches in Australia and also in New Zealand. So congratulations, smart TVs from Samsung, LG, Sony, Panasonic, Philips, Hisense, plus Fetch TV second generation set-top box will all be able to access the service. Netflix home brand shows will be offered locally, along with content from the Australian Broadcasting Corporation. So just be aware, watch your bandwidth, because I know you guys run not unlimited bandwidth down there, and you're going to have to be very, very careful in the amount of content that you watch. Hey, judges halted a movie industry-backed probe against Google down in Mississippi. So Mississippi Attorney General Jim Hood, of course, the guy that was on a witch hunt, primarily, in my opinion, has basically been given a setback by the U.S. District Judge, who issued an order that will temporarily bar Hood from forcing Google to comply with the terms of a 79-page subpoena. So the judge ruled from a bench, and you'll have a written version coming out next week. This is good news for Google, and the witch hunt may be over. ICANN, the group that basically controls all the top-level domain databases and everything, well, they had a leak. And some of their apps allowed other companies to spy on other companies' technical documents and getting information and getting access to information they shouldn't have access to. I guess it shouldn't surprise you if they pulled that stuff offline, obviously, right now, and it's definitely not available. All right, final couple articles here tonight. Every time I see 3D printed stuff, I get real excited. I don't necessarily want to buy a 3D printer, but I'm seeing some of the stuff that these folks are printing, and I'm like, I want to order one. It's just cool. I would like to have them on my shelf back here, some of this stuff. And let me show you guys what I'm talking about. It's like, cool space stuff that's been printed, and the basic companies basically told folks if they want to, upload and have their designs printed, these very, very tall models, like $99 to get them printed. So, very cool stuff. And it's just this kind of 3D stuff just really excites me, and it's going to make for cool stuff to be on shelves in years to come when we're able to start buying some of this stuff. Okay, finally, tonight, Hello, ELLO is in trouble. The reason why is basically ELO is basically saying, hey, if we allow you to put adult material on here, will you stay? And when they switch to adult stuff, that the end is near. So they have not had a good chance. Of course, that was supposed to be, I tried it and never fully understood it. It never made a lot of sense to me. So I'm not surprised. All right, so let's get the comments are going to take a few minutes. I want to thank Brittany for sending me over an infographic on Uber data breach. I appreciate that. Also, I got to be careful here. I got a couple of emails from folks that did not want their name used. Let's see here. Okay, so I can on this one. Ken says, hey, Todd. This is in response to a previous episode where you said naively, I believe, that you trust your government to do the right thing. I think nothing could be further from the truth. You to understand that our politicians are bought and paid for. You mentioned that numerous times, but then you don't seem to take the next step that they will vote and work for the highest bidder in their interest. So I know they will, not the interest of the citizens. In order to do that and keep their jobs, they have to lie. One of the many examples is unemployment rates. Well, I know about the Gallup. I know about the diversity in the unemployment rates. So, Ken, I'm not surprised there. There are many other examples. If you take the rose-colored glasses off, e.g., the CPI is openly manipulated. The major news organizations put whatever agenda DC seems to want, overemphasize, and on and on. Now, I understand that. But where I'm saying where I trust the government is in the agencies that are trying to protect us. That's where I very largely, and maybe it's in my DNA from spending 24 years in the Navy, that's where I have a lot of trust. People don't like necessarily what's going on, but I do trust those individuals that work in those organizations to do what's right and not abuse. There's, now let's be careful here. There'll always be a small percentage that abuse in any business, job, anywhere. Doesn't matter. You look at what's going on with Comcast and having people send, that they're changing people's customers' names. There's going to be a small percentage of people that do what they're not supposed to do. But when it comes to the protection of the country, I feel those folks are, my God, they're vetted upside down in the other, to the point of like almost getting probed. And many of those folks are on annual polygraphs, the whole 9 yards. So those folks, I trust. I really do. You may not like the policy, and I fully understand that. But when it comes to other stuff, come on, we all know politicians are bought and paid for. That's why I say that there should be term limits, and we should eliminate and not eliminate. We should vote all of them out. That was the wrong word to use. So, and change up. It's obvious at this point. So, so don't get me wrong. I trust the government in certain aspects. Okay, it just based upon my DNA and stuff I've did in years past. So that's kind of my thought process. All right, this next one, it comes from a listener that he doesn't want me to say his name, but he says, Todd, I understand your frustration, but okay, wait a minute. Let me make sure. It says, hey, Todd, I'm surprised that you're buying into the misinformation campaign surrounding Title II. Title II will have no effect as proposed or as with most government programs result in taxes and fees. When pressed, billionaire Netflix CEO Reed Hastings admitted that the amount of money at stake for Netflix was trivial, probably 0.4% of the company's $5 billion in annual revenue. Well, do the math, 0.4% of $5 billion. Nevertheless, Netflix persists in its campaign, even holding its own customers hostage during negotiations with ISPs. This I disagree with you on this particular point. But he goes on to say a number of independent sources cite evidence that Netflix deliberately slowed its own traffic. I do not believe that. In an attempt to gain attention from the FCC, which subsequently opened an investigation on the backbone market. Separately, an MIT University of California San Diego study of congestion on American backbone networks shows it's not widespread, but when congestion does occur, it frequently involves Netflix. In a case, regulators have found no evidence of abuse by ISPs on internet transit markets. Now, let's just be very, very clear here. The transit markets, no. But the ISPs themselves, yes, including Comcast, who throttled Netflix to get some money out of them. Peering is the way that various providers, they determine who pays what for access to their network. As long as the back and forth is on par with each other, it's free. Netflix and YouTube are pretty much one-way services. That's why they pay fees for the traffic that they send out over providers' networks. Now, hold on here. Netflix pays its CDN, who pays the peering fee. Netflix doesn't have to pay the peering group. Netflix pays their CDN. CDN pays for the peering arrangement. And if there's more that goes back and forth between their CDN, or if Netflix is directly connected to the peer, the person in the middle, the backbone creator that goes from Netflix, the servers, across the internet, and then attaches to Comcast or Verizon or whoever, Netflix absolutely pays that piece. What Netflix shouldn't have to pay is the piece on the interconnection, plus have to pay the toll by the troll toll at Comcast or Verizon. So in a certain instance, I agree with you, but we're going one step further, in my opinion. Netflix was paying Cognite, and Cognite's a back-end provider, to deliver their content to other networks and thus take advantage of their peering status. No, they were paying Cognite for their peering status. Cognite had issues with the way they spread their traffic out across various peering net links, and Netflix was throttling their own traffic. I do not believe that. Please show me some links that show me where Netflix was throttling their own traffic. I just don't believe that. I haven't seen any evidence of that to the entire time this has been going on. He goes on to say, this was the cause of most of the service delivery issues that Netflix complained about. The new arrangement with the various providers simply replaced the payment to Cognite with a direct payment to the provider, in other words, the ISP, and a direct connection to their systems. There's never a direct connection. There still has to be the interconnect. You don't go from Netflix to Verizon or to Comcast. You go from Netflix through the peering group, Cognate or Worldwide, the L3s, all those different providers, and then into Netflix paid to have computers put in into Comcast, into Verizon to be able to get better access to the network. That's true, but they also had to pay that toll to get it in there. So go again. Netflix is playing Connie to deliver their content to the networks, take advantage of the peering status. Connie had this was cause of most of the service delivery issues that Netflix complained about. The new arrangement with the various providers simply replaced payment to Cognate with a direct payment to the provider and a direct connection to their system, thus creating their own CDN. That is why it got faster, not because of any changes in the way the traffic is handled. That's not entirely true in my opinion. Apple has always used their own CDN, and Google, being Google, just started their own service. Well, they own a bunch of dark fiber. This is how the internet is meant to work and has been doing so since its inception. Government oversight by people that can barely use email is a recipe for disaster. Opening the door to a new source of taxes that cash-strapped cities across the country is another terrifying prospect. I do work at Comcast as a Tier 2 internet tech for business services. I've always been a believer in OpenNet and would be the first to complain if the company tried to close it. Title II is a response to a problem that doesn't exist. It does. The ISPs brought this upon themselves. The federal government should create a nationwide internet service using power lines that would allow speeds that are faster than current services, including fiber. The fees could be used to improve the power of grid infrastructure and provide competition to all ISPs, an elegant solution to both the aging power grid issue and getting the entire country online. So, and I'm not going to use his name because he doesn't want me to, but there's pieces here I disagree with and pieces I do agree with. It is well known that the ISPs wanted money to basically make sure the traffic got through. Netflix paid that largely because they had to, because the experience for the customer who is paying that same service provider was bad. There was evidence of throttling that was taking place. I know specifically by Verizon was doing some throttling. So, again, Title II is not a perfect situation. But you had Verizon fight the net neutrality stuff to the Supreme Court. You've had these so-called fast lane stuff that was going to be implemented. You had companies that were having to pay a toll. Where does it stop? Now, Title II has its own issues, and we'll know when this 300-page document's released where the I guess for a better word, where the issues lie. We'll see it soon enough. But again, what choice did they have? They had to use the nuclear option. They did. It's going to be litigated. It's going to be fought against for the next 5 years. Here's the key thing. As a listener or as an internet user, you pay your service provider X number of dollars. I pay my internet service provider a ridiculous amount of money every month to make sure that when I click play on Netflix, click play on YouTube, that it plays. When I click play on Geek News Central's podcast, it plays. Okay? It should work. Nothing should be throttled. I shouldn't have to pay a toll to get that content, if I'm the provider of the content, to get it through. They're already paying the CDN to do that. If that means that they pay more money to the CDN or pay it to the interconnector, fine. But it should not be Comcast that you're paying the connection to. It's the interconnector, Cognate, or the other groups that they use out there. And then Cognate pays the additional interconnection fee with Comcast. It's not Netflix. If Cognate needs to charge more money, they do that. But it shouldn't come back where it's this hop over and this is double jeopardy thing, in my opinion. Now, I may be not 100% right in the technology, but I think I know a little bit about how the internet works, and I don't believe that Netflix throttled their own stuff. If someone finds something on there, please send it to me, because I will definitely put it up on the show, and we'll talk about it. All right. Let's see here. What else? I think that's it. And I'm going to get off in here. We're long. Everyone, thanks for being here. It's my pleasure to bring you the show tonight. And those of you that were on YouTube, thanks for hanging out. I know we had a little bit of streaming buffering at the beginning of the show. And hopefully that video turns out fine. I may have to replace it. But anyway, everyone take care. We'll see you back here on Thursday for another exciting and enlightening show of Geek News Central. Become an insider. Support the show today by coming to geeknewscentral.com/insider. If you've got comments on my comments, geeknews@gmail.com. We read them all. We'll take it all, plus and minus. So definitely feel free to hammer away. This is what I love about doing the show, and we are all friends. We're all having our own opinions here, and that's what the best part about this is. And if you think I'm wrong, just, come on, let's go. But we'll see you next time, everyone. Take care. And again, have a great day. Aloha. Take care. Bye-bye.